Hi friends, welcome to Interactive Medicine. In this section, we are continuing our Clock One series, and here is a new topic. It is about drug poisoning, and it has three parts. Let's start. We have some questions. That first question is during treatment of bismuth preparation. So we have bismuth. It has the antimicrobial effect. Its nature resembling with metal. So preparation, a patient with syphilis. So for a patient who have syphilis, we are treated with bismuth. We are treated with bismuth for syphilis patient, and have the side effect of bismuth have gray spots in his oral mucosa and nephropathy symptoms. What drug is used as an antidote to bismuth preparation poisoning? It is unithiol or dimercaprol. Dimercaprol. Caprol. Dimercaprol. And bismuth, its therapeutic action is powered by stimulating the prostaglandin, and mucus formation and bicarbonate secretion. It also has antimicrobial effects and may bind to enterotoxins, which accounts for its use of prevention of travelers diarrhea. And similar, we have another question, because we know bismuth is a transition metal. So uh, another question, they given a patient poisoned with lead. So and the antidote is the same one, that is dimercaprol or the unithiol. The primary mode of action of bismuth subsalicate, it is the active ingredient of pepto-bismol. Pepto-bismol is the active ingredient in bismuth subsalicate, and it is an antimicrobial agent. And bismuth subsalicylate dissociates in gastric acid to form bismuth salts, such as bismuth oxychloride. Here is syphilis. We can talk about the syphilis. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease, and it is caused by Treponema pallidum, and it causes some uh, ulcerous lesions known as chancre, typically on your genitals, rectum, or mouth. And the signs and symptoms of syphilis is vary depending on which it have four stages: and primary, secondary, latent, and tertiary. You need to at least remember the stages. And the bismuth can cause nephropathy. It is the failure of renal. And the symptoms, it includes ammonia smell breath, loss of appetite, foamy urine, which means protein in the urine, and difficult urinate or frequent urinate, that is increased need to urinate. uh, that is the nephropathy symptoms. Here is unithiol or dimercaprol. Its action mechanism is, it has the sulfhydryl groups. Sulfhydryl means SH. It have two sulfhydryl groups. It can enter into reaction with the thyroid poisons present in the blood and tissues and form non-toxic complex, and they eliminate with the urine. And the next option was nalorphine or naloxone. This is an antidote to opioid overdose or morphine. Uh, Bemegrate is an antidote for barbiturate poisoning, and it has direct antagonism. Direct antagonism or competitive inhibition. Competitive inhibition means uh, both drugs are, or both molecules are fighting for same receptor. Just consider this is cell, it has a receptor, and this is bemegrate, and this is barbiturate. Barbiturate is normally fixed in this receptor. So, in the presence of bemagrate, the barbiturate can't fix in with this receptor. So, action of barbiturate in this cell is blocked. And final our option is methylene blue. It is used to treat methemoglobinemia. What is methemoglobinemia? It's a condition where the red blood cells which have the methemoglobin at the level higher than 1%. The methemoglobinemia can be occur congenitally or later in our life by occurred. Normally we have hemoglobin and it has the iron heme group, and the iron heme group is at the state of Fe2 plus, important Fe2 plus state. Then only the hemoglobin can bind oxygen. So the condition where the Fe2 plus is converted to its oxidized form Fe3 plus, the oxygen can't bind with the hemoglobin. So the body can't get the enough oxygen, and methemoglobin results from the presence of iron in the ferric form instead of ferrous form. This is ferrous form, this is ferric form. The result in decreased availability of oxygen to the tissues. And next our question is, a patient complains of dizziness, thirst, difficult swallowing, and impaired vision of close objects addressed with the doctor, and respiratory rate increased, pupils are dilated, general agitation, talkativeness, tough speech, blood pressure 110 bar 70 mmHg, heart rate is 110 bar minute. Given symptoms can indicate overdose of which of the following. Generally, we can see heart rate is much higher, and pupils are dilated, and impaired vision of close objects. So uh, respiratory rate of is also high. So in this case we need to understand what is the condition of this patient. So patient is already administered drug. Doctor is assuming that he is overdosage of some drug. If it's overdosage of some drug, what it could be? It is due to the overdose of atropine. Atropine is basically it is block the cholinergic activity. Before we before we going to how atropine can block the cholinergic activity, we need to understand what is meant by cholinergic activity. So consider this is our presynaptic neuron, and this is postsynaptic neuron, and between these neurons we have synaptic cleft. This synaptic cleft, acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter which is secreted there, and it passes the information from presynaptic neuron to postsynaptic neuron. And acetylcholine is formed by two substances, choline and acetate. So acetate coenzyme A and choline is bind by the presence of the enzyme choline acetyl transferase and to form acetylcholine, and it is collected in the vesicle, and some and how this acetylcholine is released into the synaptic cleft. We need to release the acetylcholine from this cleft by the presence. It is happened by the presence of calcium 2 plus ions. So normally we can't see calcium 2 plus inside the presynaptic neuron, so there's a transporter and which allow the entry of calcium 2 plus. Some drugs can block this transport and block the acetylcholine release from this vesicle. We will talk later. And with the help of calcium 2 plus, the acetylcholine is released into synaptic cleft from the synaptic vesicle, and acetylcholine can bind with the neuron neuron membrane receptors. Maybe it is M type or N type receptor. So the degradation, so the effect is going to happen. This effect is just similar to parasympathetic effect. So these drugs may call as parasympathomimetics. Acetylcholine can be degraded by using the enzyme acetylcholinesterase into choline and acetate. And what we can see in parasympathetic effects, what happens for eyes. In eyes, the sphincter pupil will contract and lead to miosis or narrowing of pupil. Sphincter muscles of the pupil will contract. And what happens to heart will cause bradycardia, decreased heart rate. And what happened to respiratory system? Decrease the respiration, decrease the respiratory rate. And what happens to smooth muscle? Smooth muscle will contract or relax. It will contract. That way we have meiosis. Smooth muscle will contract. So bladder, so we can see the constriction of smooth muscle in bronchial trachea, and also in intestine, um, dilation dilation and generally dilation of the blood vessel, like decrease the blood pressure. So some drugs, atropine like drugs, which can bind in this receptor. So atropine, we will take another color. Just consider atropine is coming here. Atropine is a cholinergic blocker drugs. Atropine. Some drugs can bind with this receptor. So acetylcholine can't bind in this receptor anymore. And also some receptor which can block this calcium channel. Atropine, we already said that it can block the receptor. It is non-specific. It can block both M and N subtypes of receptor. So the effect of parasympathetic will not happen in this condition. If it is parasympathetic effect is not happen, it is ultimately leads to a sympathetic system. So in meiosis, what happens? It turns to mydriasis. Mydriasis is the dilation of pupil. Dilation of pupil is caused by dilator muscle. Dilator muscle is under the control of sympathetic system. Uh, what happens to heart? It leads to increase of heart rate, increased respiratory rate, relaxation of smooth muscles, and increased blood pressure. Okay, let's come back to our question. The patient, he have dizziness, thirst, and difficult to swallow due to muscles are relaxed. Impaired vision of close objects. Why it happens? Impaired vision of close objects, because uh, we have ciliary muscles. This is our lens. Okay, this is our eye. Just consider this is our eye. I'm not good at drawing images, but just consider this is our eye. So this is a close object. So our eyes need to be the lens of the eyes need to be very focused to this close object. So ciliary bodies are constricted and contracted. This is ciliary body muscles. It attaches with the lens of our eyes. So ciliary body is a smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is contracted in which system? Parasympathetic or sympathetic? In parasympathetic system. Okay. So if a drug which who have cholinergic block activity, it will eventually lead to the relaxation. We can draw here again. Okay. Eventually leads to the relaxation of ciliary body. Relaxation of ciliary body. So relaxation of ciliary body leads to flattening of lens, our eyelids. Flattening. Flattening of eyelids means it's like a glass. So glasses transmit only parallelly. It can't focus anymore. So the focus, it can't focus. It can't focus, but in contracted position of ciliary body, the eyelids can focus because its shape is changed into round. That's why they are mentioning when a cholinergic blocker add when overdosage of cholinergic block happens, it leads to impaired vision of close objects and respiratory rate increased, pupils are dilated, speech is indistinct because of the muscles are weakened, heart rate increased, overdosage of following drug, it is atropine. Atropine is a cholinergic blocker. And another drug for an example for cholinergic blocker is coplamine. This is we thought we have parasympathetic effect and the sympathetic effect. In parasympathetic effect, meiosis will happen. Sympathetic effect, mydriasis, high flow of saliva, inhibit the flow of saliva, bradycardia, tachycardia, constriction of bronchi, dilation of bronchi, because bronchi have smooth muscle and smooth muscle stimulated contracted, so peristalsis and secretion will happen. In sympathetic system, inhibit the peristalsis and secretion, stimulate the release of bile because glands are working, parasympathetic system glands are producing more secretions. In sympathetic system, we need more glucose, so conversion of glycogen to glucose will happen, that is glycogenolysis. Secretion of adrenaline and noradrenaline. Here bladder, urinary bladder is lined with by smooth muscle, so smooth muscle will contract. In sympathetic system, inhibition of bladder contraction, and this is our I already thought the case that where we can see in close objects. Here is our close objects. We can't sorry we can focus in this, we can focus in this section because our islands are in circle shape, and because of the ciliary muscle is contracted, and it can perfectly focus here. In this section we can't focus because it's beyond our focus, beyond our retina. So ciliary muscle is released, relaxed in this condition. The lens shape is more likely flattened, so it is not help to viewing the close objects. Acute morphine poisoning. Acute morphine, the clinical overdose is toxic threshold is 30 milligram and the lethal threshold is 120 milligram. The what happens, what we can find during acute morphine poisoning is pinpoint pupils, which means that the pupils of the eye become very narrow, and it is like a pinpoint, and deep respiratory depression and coma we can see. Treatment: establish a patent airway and adequate ventilation, and treatment is naloxone, intravenous naloxone or nalorphine. Aminazine, our next option is aminazine. Aminazine is a also known as promazine. It belongs to a group of medications known as the phenothiazine antipsychotic. It is an antipsychotic drug. It acts by blocking a variety of receptors in the brain, particularly dopamine receptors. Aminazine block the dopamine receptor. It's an antipsychotic drug. Just remember this one. Morphine binds with opioid receptors and positive, which means it promote the potassium efflux, leads to hyperpolarization and inhibit the calcium entry. You know a graph, this one. Here our potential, action potential graph. So here is depolarization happen, here is hyperpolarization happen. Hyperpolarization means the membrane is at the membrane, the body is get into a relaxed state, or we can say that in hyperpolarized state, which means the potassium efflux, potassium efflux, potassium efflux, potassium is get out of from the cell into the extracellular space. So the cell at the cell membrane at the state of hyperpolarization. So body leads to at the rest or calm phase. At the feel of calmness, we can feel a calmness. So chronic morphine exposure leads to opioid receptor phosphorylation. We just think this is our plasma membrane, and we have opioid receptor. Here is the extracellular and intracellular. So what happens when morphine is bind with its receptor? It can block the calcium entry here. It can block the calcium entry. So if calcium cannot enter into a cell, so it because it in smooth muscles, the calcium is very important for its contraction. The contraction of smooth muscle will not happen. It leads to, then eventually leads to relaxation. And potassium efflux, it promotes potassium efflux. It promotes potassium efflux, which means that uh, hyperpolarized the state of cell membrane. Next question. A patient with an acute myocardial infarction. administered heparin as a treatment as a part of complex therapy. Okay, within this question, patient who have acute myocardial infarction, we have many treatment procedures, and one of that treatment procedure is heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant, so but it has a side effect that is hematuria. Sometimes after heparin injection, the patient develop hematuria because it is an anticoagulant. The viscosity of the blood becomes very thin, and it can pass through the glomerulus filter, and it can and the blood can be seen in urine. Heparin is a blocker, should be injected to remove the complex. Okay, what heparin antagonist, heparin blocker, we need to inject to remove the complex is protamine sulfate. So first we need to understand the myocardial infarction. It is also known as a heart attack and occurs when blood flow decreases or stops to a part of the heart and causing damage to the heart muscle. The blood flow decreases or stop to a part of the heart. So blood flow can be decreased or stopped due to many reasons, maybe atherosclerosis. In this condition, uh, uh, many conditions, and it can leads to clotting in the coronary vessels. Coronary vessels are the vessels which helps to give nourishment to the heart muscles. So if the heart muscle become blocked, sorry, if the artery of the heart muscle become blocked, it will eventually lead to the death of the heart and entire body. So the clotting inside the blood vessel of the heart arteries, it's very dangerous, and we need to take an action immediately. So in this condition, there be a clot were present in these blood vessels. So we administer a drug that is heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant, so it can break the coagulation. So the antidote to protamine sulfate is, sorry, the antidote to heparin is protamine sulfate, and its mechanism by it's a highly cationic peptide, and it either binds with a heparin or low molecular weight heparin to form stable ion pair, which does not have anticoagulant activity. The ionic complex is then removed and broken down by reticuloendothelial system. It takes only 5 minutes. And Vicasur, another our option is Vicasur, how it is different from protamine sulfate. It indicated in bleeding and hypothrombinemia due to an overdose of phenydione, neodymium, or other vitamin K blocker of antiviral, vitamin K antagonist antivirals. So we need to understand Vicasol is administered during the patient who have bleeding disorder and hyperprothrombemia due to the overdose of phenydione, neodymium, etc., or other vitamin K antagonists and anticoagulants. Our next option is aminocrapiroic acid. It is marketed as Amicar. It is a drug used to treat bleeding disorders. It is have the action of anti-fibrinolytic agent, and it inhibits the plasminogen activators which have fibrinolytic properties. It is a derivative of amino acid lysine. Aminocapric acid is a derivative of amino acid lysine and used in treatment of bleeding disorders. It has anti-fibrinolytic agent. It is anti-fibrin. We know fibrin helps. Fibrin is comes from fibrinogen. So it have the aminocaproic acid have an effect that is anti-fibrinolytic agent. So the aminocaproic acid. So fibrin is not going to destroyed in this case. So it can act as a, it can function as, it can bring the clot more time. Vitamin K is generated from epoxin. Vitamin K is generated from epoxide by vitamin K epoxide reductase. Epoxide. This is epoxide in liver. Vitamin K is produced in the liver. So epoxide is converted to vitamin K uh, by the enzyme known as epoxide reductase. Another name of vitamin K is, who knows? Phylloquinone. Phylloquinone. It is the enzyme that is inhibited by epoxide reductase is inhibited by neodigmarin, syncumar, and warfarin. So it is an indirect anticoagulant. These drugs are neodigmarin, syncumar, and warfarin are indirect anticoagulant. Heparin is direct anticoagulant. Neodigmarin is a coumarin derivative. It inhibits the hepatic synthesis and activation of vitamin K dependent clotting factors 2, 7, 9, 10, and decrease the blood coagulation potential. Understand? Neodigmarin, it can inhibit the epoxide reductase, so vitamin K will not produced. The clotting factors like 2, 7, 9, 10 are produced by the with the help of vitamin K. So if there is no vitamin K, these clotting factors will not produce. It will eventually leads to decreasing the blood coagulation potential. Fibrinogen is a glycoprotein complex made in the liver that circulates in the blood of all vertebrates. During tissue and vascular injury, it is converted enzymatically to thrombin to fibrin and then to fibrin-based clot. Fibrin clots function primarily occlude blood vessels to stop bleeding. You know, fibrinogen is converted to fibrin. Fibrinogen is coagulation factor 1. So this fibrin makes a meshwork. It leads to helps in clotting. The next question is, after an extended treatment with the sulfonamides, a patient is developed macrocytic anemia. Production of active forms of the following vitamin is disrupted in this condition. The answer is folic acid. So sulfonamides, what is meant by sulfonamides? Sulfonamides or sulfur drugs are a group of drugs used to treat bacterial infections. They may be prescribed to treat urinary tract infections, bronchitis, eye infection, bacterial meningitis, pneumonia, ear infection, severe burns, diarrhea, and other conditions. Commonly prescribed sulfonamides include gantricin, Bactrin, etc. Trimethoprim. Just study this one. Trimethoprim, sulfamethoxazole, sulfadiazine, asalfidine. Just study this also. Asalfidine, asalfidine, Songran, sonisamide. So, folic acid. It is a vitamin B9 and its deficiency causes macrocytic or megaloblastic anemia. So in this question we have macrocytic anemia. Some drug cause sulfonamide cause the deficiency of vitamin B9 and leads to macrocytic anemia. But there is a potential vitamin B12 can deficiency Deficiency of vitamin B12 also can uh, produce megaloblastic anemia or macrocytic anemia, but is not related with sulfonamides. Okay, thiamine, vitamin B1, and its deficiency cause beriberi. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid, and scurvy. Deficiency cause the disease scurvy. Riboflavin, vitamin B12, deficiency causes stomatitis. Pyridoxine, vitamin B6 deficiency, it causes neuropathy, dermatitis, not nephropathy, it's neuropathy. We have a drug, isoniazid. We are use this drug for tuberculosis treatment. So it eventually leads to the pyridoxine, vitamin B6 deficiency, and leads to polyneuritis. Polyneuritis. We will discuss this question later. Polyneuritis. And finally, we have one niacin deficiency cause the pellagra, triple D. The symptoms like diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia. Another question. A 40-year-old man, pulmonary tuberculosis, was prescribed, sorry, who have pulmonary tuberculosis and prescribed isoniazid, and prolonged taking of this drug results in the development of which vitamin deficiency? It is pyridoxine. Pyridoxine deficiency leads to polyneuritis. Biotin deficiency. We already thought about thiamine. Thiamine is B1 and cause beriberi, cobalamin, megaloblastic anemia or pernicious anemia. It is vitamin B12. Folic acid, vitamin B9, macrocytic anemia or megalocytic anemia. Biotin deficiency. It cause, just study this one, hair loss, brittle nails, and dermatitis. Just study these three at least. Hair loss, alopecia, dermatitis, brittle nails. Another question. A 13-year-old female hospitalized with acute intoxication. Source of high density metals. We already said about this question. High density metal, lead most probably. One of the another example is high density metal is bismuth, but we can use this for a treatment for bacterial infections. But in this case, the patient is intoxicated with the high density metal, most probably lead, and the antidote of lead or high density metal is dimercaprol or unithiol, which have activated two sulfhydryl groups, so it can bind with the lead. Dipyrone or metamizole banned in the US and much of Western Europe because it can cause serious or fatal blood damage called agranulocytosis. Our next option is this metamizole. This is metamizole drug, but it is banned in US and Western Europe because it can cause serious fatal blood damage called agranulocytosis, a disease which decreases the body's ability to produce white blood cells or fighting infection. And next option was mannitol. Mannitol is a diuretic and it is used to force urine production who have acute or sudden kidney failure. Mannitol injection is also used to reduce swelling and pressure inside the eye or around the brain. Mannitol is available under the following brand names: Osmitrol, and mannitol under the class of drug which we can use as a diuretic or osmotic agents. And nalorphine, morphine antidote. Calcium chloride is for magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate antidote, because it have same 2 plus. Calcium have the oxidation of same 2 plus, so it can replace this magnesium 2 plus with calcium 2 plus. A 66-year-old woman had intravenous injection of magnesium sulfate solution. Magnesium sulfate solution is used to treat hypertensive crisis. What is mean by hypertensive crisis? It is a severe increase in blood pressure, and it can lead to stroke, extremely high blood pressure, a top number of systolic blood pressure of 180 millimeter of mercury or higher, and the bottom number of diastolic pressure is 120 mmHg or higher. It can damage the blood vessel. So, what is the action of magnesium sulfate for hypertensive crisis? It can trigger the cerebral vasodilation and reducing the ischemia generated by cerebral vasospasm during an eclamptic event. The substance also acts competitively in blocking the entry of calcium into the synaptic endings and thereby altering neuromuscular transmission. We already said this thing. Did you remember? Uh, because we have presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron, and I already said in this case calcium can enter into presynaptic neuron, and it can helps in release of helps in the release of uh, acetylcholine. Acetylcholine and so smooth muscle will contract in this time, but the relaxation of smooth muscle can be blocked by magnesium sulfate. By it can block combat it, it can block this receptor. Magnesium sulfate can block the calcium entry by uh, blocking the calcium transporter. So calcium will not enter into presynaptic neuron. So acetylcholine will not released. So smooth muscle can't contract and leads to relaxation of smooth muscle. And we know uh, it leads to decrease the blood pressure, because blood vessel arterial blood vessel have smooth muscle is dilated or relaxed. So in this question, patient is unconscious. Okay, we can read it from first. A 66-year-old woman have intravenous injection of magnesium sulfate solution to stop hypertensive crisis. However, her arterial pressure did not decrease, and after repeated introduction of same preparation, she developed sluggishness. So magnesium sulfate is very uh, increased in this patient, or its dose is increased. So the side effect includes sluggishness, slow response to stimuli, patient is unconscious, and her respiration is inhibited. So the antagonist of magnesium sulfate is calcium chloride. Potassium chloride can't, sodium chloride can, and activated carbon can't. So in next part we will talk about some little bit about potassium permanganate.